Okay, and we are back on the channel for another One Fight Night preview. This one is for One Fight Night 20 that goes down this Friday at the iconic Lumpinee Boxing Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand, and it is to celebrate International Women's Day. So it is all women on this card, some of the top female competitors in one championship. I don't think it quite, matches up to the One Fight Night 14 card that we had last year in September, I want to say, where you had Stamp and you had Sundell on that card, and that one was very very good. But there's some good stuff on this card for sure. So let's dive into why you should tune into this event if you aren't sure. Also, I should say that over this past weekend we hit 500 subs on this channel, so thank you for the support here. It really means a lot. The more that you guys show love for this channel, the more work I put into it, basically, because I do have to take time out of other things in order to do this. So the better it does, the more content you will see from me, as you will probably see from this year, where I've been a little bit more active over here, as promised. Let's pull up this card then, shall we? And it kicks off with quite a few atom weight contests that, to be honest, I haven't got a whole lot to say about. Not that they're bad matchups or anything like that, but personally, this bout between Lara Fernandez and I'm going to butcher her name, so I do apologize. We'll just call her Yu Yao. Who is going to be making her main roster debut on this card. She's got a 5-fight win streak on Friday fights, so those ones you can never afford to look past. The fighters that have put together win streaks on these Friday fights cards, because they're going to be exciting and hopefully will make a big impact. Of course, she's going to be taking on Lara Fernandez, who has lost 3 of her 4 fights in one championship. But if you look at the names she's lost to, you've got Fajija and Janet Todd, who of course in the main event of this card, and then Anna Supergirl Jarunsak. So, top level opposition. So it'd be interesting to see how she matches up with Yu Yao, who obviously hasn't fought the same level of competition. But like I said, this is her main roster debut on this card. So I'm excited for that one. Moving up, this is another one I'm pretty excited for, actually. You've got Ekaterina Vanderyeva taking on Martina Kaczynska. How do you like that for pronunciation? Vanderyeva, again, a little bit like Lara Fernandez, has lost quite a few of her fights in one championship, but against top-level opposition, some of those losses. And Kaczynska, I was really impressed with Kaczynska at One Fight Night 19, where she made her late notice debut in one championship. She stepped up to take on Nat Jarunsak and put on an unbelievable performance. I thought, just put it on Jarunsak from the very start. Got the finish in the second round, I believe, and looked really good. So I'm excited to see her back out so soon. Definitely looks like she could be a player in this division, the strawweight Muay Thai division, and yeah, Vanderyeva very battle tested in one championship. So yeah, another one where I'm not entirely sure how this one's going to play out, because both of them, I think, have got, it's 2 competitors we've seen quite a lot of on the main roster versus 2 fighters that we haven't. So these 2 bouts, you're looking at maybe Yu Yao and Martina Kaczynska making a really big impact here, or potentially one of these contenders that has fought some of the top names in the promotion getting back in the mix. So excited for those. Next up, you've got an atomweight MMA contest. Jihin Radjuan taking on Chihiro Sawada. Glad to see Jihin Radjuan pronunciation. Sorry. Back. She's only had, I think, 3 losses in one championship, and 2 of them are to Stamp Fairtex and Denise Umboanga, who of course are going to be fighting for the atomweight title in a few weeks. So Radjuan's only 25 years old. I definitely think that, I could see her putting together a run here that leads to another title shot, especially, she's got history with both Stamp and Denise. So I think that you're realistically looking at Jihin getting a win here and building towards another title shot. Not to discount Sawada, we've seen her once before in one championship, I believe. It was quite a while ago now, I think, about a year or so. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at here for this contest, but definitely worth tuning in for, I think. Catchweight Muay Thai contest up next. I am excited to see Jackie Buntan back in the mix. Of course, she was supposed to fight Smila Sundell in a rematch at One Fight Night 14 and had to pull out. I was super excited for that one because Jackie Buntan, I thought, looked fantastic in her previous fights. She's going to be taking on Martine Michelito. We'll go with that. She of course won her one championship debut. I believe it was against Amber Kitchen. That was a little while ago, but I say a little while ago. I think it was the end of last year, actually. But yeah, I'm excited to see Jackie Buntan back in this mix. I think the obvious route for her is to get a win here and then go into that rematch with Smila Sundell, which I really want to see. At some point, their first fight was very good, and I think she's the clear contender for that title. So I would have expected to just see her get put in with Sundell next, honestly. So bit of a hurdle here for her to get past first. But yeah, I fully expect to see that Sundell rematch, hopefully in the near future. Moving on to the next one, we've got the two top fights on this card. We'll start with the co-main event, the Atomweight Muay Thai World Championship. Alicia Helen Rodriguez, the champion, defends against Christina Morales. Um, I've been really, really impressed by Alicia Helen Rodriguez. I know that she lost her last fight. She obviously stepped in to replace Buntan and faced Mila Sundell and went up a weight class. But, I think the size difference was just a little bit too much for her going up on short notice. But, obviously she had all of that time off when she gave birth after winning the title and beating Stamp, and to see her back and she came back and unified the division against Janet Todd, and I thought looked fantastic in that fight. Really tends to do well in the championship rounds, tends to really pull it out of the bag. Christina Morales has had two fights in one championship, a loss to Anissa Mexon, who we'll talk about a little bit later, and a win over Anna Jarunsak last time out of One Fight Night 16. I think maybe that's where I was getting confused with Martine, getting those two swapped around the wrong way, because that's who I was referring to when I said about One Fight Night 16 and a win late last year. But either way, excited to see Alicia Helen Rodriguez back defending her title. Is this, one of the biggest matchups that's out there for her? Absolutely not, obviously, but I still think it's a good test. And I still think it should be a very fun fight because I really, really, really like watching Alicia Helen Rodriguez. Especially in these five rounders, which I don't think she's had any fights in one championship that haven't been five rounders, has she? So that experience of doing that always seems to pay off for her, and yeah, her style is just really, really entertaining, I think. And then finally the main event, and I've kind of this has been quite a quick preview. I've shot through a lot of these fights, unlike 1166 or 1165 or even One Fight Night 19. That had a lot of fights I was really, really excited for. There isn't as much on this card that I'm like, oh, you should tune in for this, but if you are going to tune in, that's the whole point of this video. It is for this main event. Janet Todd defending the atomweight kickboxing. Well, I should say, um, there are two champions in this fight because it is the title unification of the atomweight kickboxing world champion. You've got championship. Sorry, I've said champion so many times in this video. You've got the champion Janet Todd taking on Fajija, who is the interim champion. And for me, watching Fajita over the last year has been one of the best things about watching one championship. If you do tune into the Friday fights cards, which I would, urge you to do, especially if, like me, you're in the UK, so they're on at lunchtime. You can tune in and just watch some great striking. A couple of MMA contests usually thrown in, tend to be earlier on in the card, but mostly Muay Thai. And those fights are fantastic to watch. And Fajija has been one of the breakout stars of that whole series. I think that is the best thing about the Friday fights is of course, you get treated to a handful of really great matchups every single week, but you also get a platform for some of these strikers to grow throughout the year and get a lot of fights in. And it's given way to some really great stars that have made their way over to the main roster. And I think Vegeta is definitely, one of those top people that has come over into the main roster. Of course, she did fight at, I believe it was One Friday Fights 46, that really big card in December, headlined by Tawan Chai and Superbon, and she beat Anissa Mexon, which, she had a really impressive run on Friday Fights and some great finishes and stuff like that. But to go in there and beat Anissa Mexon over 5 rounds to win that interim title is massive. Like, that is a big step up in competition for her. And she proved that she isn't just, an exciting finisher who can do it, once every couple of months and just keep that run of action up. She is a top level championship fighter. And I think a lot of people will not be surprised if she walks away from this fight, unifying the belts against Janet Todd, despite the fact that, Janet Todd has been around in one championship for quite some time and, of course, has some very, very big wins under her belt, the likes of Stamp Fairtex, obviously, when she won the title via split decision. And, you know, she did lose the the Muay Thai belt to Alicia Helen Rodriguez last year at One Fight Night 8, but I don't think that, you know, I thought Alicia looked really good in that fight, especially, the later rounds and coming back to kickboxing for Janet Todd, which I think, she is a little bit better at. I think if this fight was a Muay Thai world championship contest, I'd be a little bit even more confident in Fetchija because of her use of elbows and such. Like I think that rule set suits her better, if anything. I think we saw that on the Friday Fight series. But like I said, to have all of those things that I've just said, and then to go and beat Anissa Mexon over 5 rounds like she did at the end of last year was incredible. Definitely, one of the better performances of the year in one championship, I would say, last year. So I'm expecting a similar thing, honestly, from Fetchija. I truly think that she is that good. And I think, like I said, a lot of people will be looking at her like this could be her, Anissa Mexon was probably her coming out party, but this could be, a huge, huge win for her to pick up here against Janet Todd and win that atomweight title by unifying the division. And then I think that if they did Fedjija versus Stamp at some point, that would be absolutely incredible. Could also see Alicia Helen Rodriguez maybe go in for the kickboxing title to become a two sport world champion. Keep wanting to say two weight or two division, two sport. But yeah, there you go. I think that's pretty much it for this card. Like I said, not as much to dive into here, but I do think there are some really great striking contests on this card, specifically those top three, of course. But the main event for me is the real selling point here, because Fetchija has been so exciting to watch, like I said, over this last year. So watching her take on another really big test in Janet Todd and potentially unify the belts is the real selling point of this card, but also, across the board, some great female mixed martial artists on here, some great female strikers. So I'm sure it'll be a great event at Lumpinee, as always. But yeah, maybe not hitting the same standards that we've had lately, but I think we've had a pretty good start to the year, honestly, from one championship. Maybe outside of One Fight Night 18, that felt like a little bit of a thing slowly starting to kick into gear. But the run of 1165 maybe didn't deliver on in reality, but a very, very good card on paper nonetheless. One Fight Night 19 I thought was a really, really strong event on paper, and there were some great fights on that. Obviously the last weekend in Qatar, you can check out my aftermath video on that, but despite some of the controversies, I did really enjoy that card for the most part, even though it's a little bit of a mess at points. But yeah, this one, good card. The fact it comes a week after 1166 I think is kind of dulled the hype a little bit. But like I said, this main event speaks for itself, in my opinion. So if you are going to tune in, those are your reasons to do it. Thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, appreciate the support. If you're new here, drop a subscribe, drop a like, and I will see you very soon. Drop a comment down below as well, which fight you're most looking forward to and your predictions for these title fights. And I will see you all very soon. Enjoy the fights, and I'll catch you later.